My name is Oree. I am bold, brave, blunt, willing to fight my hardest, and that comes from a lot of the things that I've been through in my life. I have not always been this strong. I got bullied a lot. I was always either this weird kid or somehow didn't fit in. I was born in Chowchilla State Prison. My mother was fighting murder at the time when she had me. At 2 days, I was adopted by a single mother who worked 3 jobs in order to provide for me. I had a very normal childhood in the very beginning up until the age of 8 when I was molested by a family friend. By the time I was about 9.5, 10 years old, I experienced a rape, and there was no justice that was ever served. When the cases were dropped, DCFS got involved very, very minimum. I didn't receive any counseling. My mother never had a conversation with me about it. I think it was very hard for her. So it was all these feelings of like insecurity and feeling like I don't belong, guilt and shame and dirtiness was bottling up inside. You know, I always say that like kids, when they run away, they're not running to something, they're running from something. Anywhere was better than my home. Like anywhere was safer than my home. Anywhere where someone would just notice me and just ask me, was I okay, was gonna be better than going through this. I ended up running away and met a friend. We went to this house, which was like a drug house. She left me and said, I'll be right back. In that house was a male sitting on the couch right next to me and another beautiful woman in the back. For the first time in my life, somebody asked me, was I okay? After the rapes, after the molestation, after all the bullying, somebody finally asked me, was I okay? I told that man my life story in 30 seconds. And he didn't have to come and look for me. Like he didn't have to come hunt like how normal a lot of these traffickers do. I fell right on his doorstep. I was a kid in need. I needed shelter. I needed clothes. I needed food. And I was going to need someone to take care of me because I was only 11 years old. And I just remember this look in his eye was just like this. I got her. And I spoke to the woman that I seen. I remember her asking me and talking to me and sharing her story about how she was molested by her stepfather and things like that. So now I'm feeling like, oh, now we have something in common. She's just like me. He said, well, I'm getting ready to take her to work. And we got out there. We were on Long Beach Boulevard. And I remember him telling me about the life. And he started to groom me. And then that grooming process is he was preparing me to be trafficked. And I remember when she came back, he said, you're going to show her what to do. She's going to go with you. And I remember just freaking out in the back seat, like scared. He got out, was yelling, why are you crying? And he hit me. I want to just go home. I want to go home. And he was just like, where are you going to go? Nobody wants you. And I believed those lies. And he grabbed me by my hair and dragged me down the street. My knees were scraping the floor. There was other women out there. Nobody did anything. When you have been forced to sleep with 7 to 15 men and be raped and be 11 years old, I was like slowly dying. And after the first night, you suppress those feelings because any inch of hope that you have, any sense of I can get out, any feeling of there's a God, any feeling of I don't deserve this, you get beat. You ain't gonna survive out there. I actually grew up in the church. My grandmother was a deaconess, so I knew of God. As I got older though, and after the things that took place, I became very distant. Like there couldn't have been no God, like in allowing someone to do this to this kid. There couldn't be this God that, you know, at 11 years old sitting in court and mom says, I don't want her anymore. Like there couldn't have been a God. Nowhere to go. No family wanted to take you in. Like there couldn't have been a God. And that was hard for me. Being on the streets and having to survive, and I'm thinking about right now, how am I gonna get through this day? So God was just, for me, he was very far. I was willing to be confident, be okay, and be raped 7 to 15 times a night instead of suffering the consequences of being alone again. And it becomes normal. And if you think about an adult's normal life, go to work every day, tuck their children in at night, My normal was if I didn't make enough money for daddy and make the quota that he set for me, I was getting beat upside my head with a 45mm gun. My normal was not being tucked in at night. It wasn't reading a bedtime story. My normal was every single day waking up and making money for a man that I never received a dollar for. Being told what to eat, how to talk, when you was gonna sleep, where you was gonna go. That was my normal. My childhood, I didn't have a childhood. It was gone. That was my normal from 11 to 15 years old. By the time I was 12 years old, within a year, I was already raped over 4,000 times. It took me to be 4.5 years in the life until I was 15 years old for someone to finally step up and do something. And that was a man. His name is Jim Carson. And he was the first person in my life to tell me that I was a victim. It was never a choice. It's not a choice for these kids. Whether it was an influence, someone influenced them, whether it was somebody physically forced them into it, whether it was their circumstances, it's not a choice. It was not my choice. I didn't ask to be trafficked. I didn't wake up and that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I wanted to be the president of the United States, the first female president. There are children whose dreams and innocence was stolen and snatched from them. Children who need someone to fight for them because they can't fight for themselves. Children who need a voice for people to stand up and be a voice for them because they don't have it and they've lost it. Like, that's what organizations like Saving Innocence does. Showing up when they don't expect you to. And saying, I care about you, I'm here for you, and I'm not giving up on you. That's what these kids need. I was starting to see what hope looked like. There were these labels that were starting to be torn off of me. This weak kid, like this angry kid, this bad kid. And I was starting to learn who Oree was. That weird kid, it like means so much to me because that weird kid, like, is normal. Like, I was okay. Like, I can be her. Like, I can be friendly and not be called weird. I can be the life of the party and say crazy things and have this sense of humor without being afraid of what people are gonna think of me. I don't let my past define me because it's only a small part of my life. It doesn't define me because that's not who I am. To me, being bold is living life and not caring what people think. Like, being fearless of sharing what I've been through and what God has got me through. And that doesn't define me. Everything I went through in life was in order to be able to help someone else. I got hired on a Saving Innocence about 1.5 years ago. So I go into the juvenile halls, the same juvenile halls I used to be at. And I get to work with the kids on prevention work. It's just this amazing feeling that I get to go back in the very places of where I found hope at and work with kids. I get to be that person that I didn't have when I was a kid. I'm not just this victim of sex trafficking. It's only a part of my story. That's all.